Hey, what's up? Sal here from SJ Cooks. Now, it is said that Dr. Pepper is a blend of 23 types of flavor. So then why aren't we using it on ribs? It makes perfect sense to me. I've never actually cooked with a soda before, but Dr. Pepper, well, it seems like a good place to start. So let's find out together if this method is genius or a complete waste of a good soda and your time. Let's get started. We're kicking things off with the slow and sear master kettle. I'm dropping in the SNS insert and I'm going to fill the water reservoir with hot water. The water helps keep temperature stable and it adds moisture to the cooker. And it's super helpful for a long rib cook. For fuel, light up 12 to 14 briquettes using the Weber starter cube. And while they're firing up, let's go prep up the ribs. I've got a rack of St. Louis style ribs. And a little shout out to the butcher for giving me a very helpful but totally unnecessary gash right down the middle of the meat. It's fine, we'll work around it. Now the prep is very minimal. I trimmed off a dangling piece of meat. And on the same end, I cut off the last bone. It was just sticking out way too far near the edge. After that, I'd rounded off the corners so they don't dry out during the cook. I removed the membrane on the back off camera, but that part is totally optional. First, I'm going to pour a little bit of Dr. Pepper over the ribs and use it kind of as a binder. And then for the seasoning, I'm keeping the rub super simple. Just a little kosher salt and some pepper. I know some people go with a barbecue rub here, but I really want the Dr. Pepper to speak for itself on this one. And once both sides are seasoned, it's grill time. And real quick, this is my first time trying this. I love Dr. Pepper, but my wife, well, she absolutely does not. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of flavor this soda brings and what my wife thinks about it. Now these coals, well, they're fully lit now. I've dumped in more unlit charcoal to fill the slow and sear insert. Let's close the lid and set my top vent. 10 minutes later, temps are stable. I toss in a chunk of cherry wood, drop in my SNS strip and griddle pan, my grill grate, and then the ribs. Now before closing the lid, I spritz the ribs with Dr. Pepper from a spray bottle. Let's close it and let's start cooking. Our target temperature on this grill is between 225 and 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Every 30 to 45 minutes, or just any time I remembered, I'd pop in and spritz the ribs with Dr. Pepper. They were looking great. I spritzed all of the ribs for flavor coverage, but I paid extra attention to the dry spots. At the 3-hour mark, the bark was set, and it's time for the second part of the cook, the wrap. In the wrap, I put in butter, garlic cloves, and some red onion. I try to keep things savory to offset the sweetness from the soda. And of course, in the wrap, I pour in about a half a cup of Dr. Pepper. I made sure to double wrap the ribs in foil to prevent any leaks. And I also try to make the wrap airtight. We're really trying to go more for a braise than a steam here. And back on the grill they go. I shook off the ash of the coals, and I made space in case I needed to add charcoal later. Time to head inside and make the sauce. Now the sauce recipe is going to be down in the description, but here's a quick rundown. You need some ketchup, Dr. Pepper soda, mustard, and some molasses. I stirred it, simmered it, and reduced it by half until it was thick. After 90 minutes, I unwrapped the ribs. Now these weren't completely tender yet, but it had some beautiful bone pullback. I rolled up the foil into a little tray and then I kept the ribs in all of the juices. These ribs are going back on the grill to help reset that bark. They looked and smelled amazing. At the 30-minute mark, I dropped in a bit more unlit charcoal to keep the cook going. 30 minutes later, I went ahead and sauced both sides of the ribs. I closed the lid again to let that sauce set. Another 30 minutes, I opened up and did the bend test. They weren't completely tender and I could have gone another 15 minutes, but I didn't want them to get too dark. Now the total cook time was about 5.5 hours and it smelled fantastic. I wrapped them up in fresh foil and let them rest for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, I sliced the rack and then plated them with some extra sauce on the side, just in case it needed a quick dip. Using a soda like Dr. Pepper definitely brings some unique flavor. Now, I had my wife taste these before tasting them myself, and my wife, who doesn't even like Dr. Pepper or saucy ribs, actually really loved these. She especially liked the sauce, which was a huge surprise. I will say that my wife is not a fan of Dr. Pepper at all. So the fact that she liked the sauce, the barbecue sauce that I cooked up with the Dr. Pepper, that says a lot. I think it's worth giving it a shot. So I call that a win. It's time for a taste test. All right, so the 23 flavors on the Dr. Pepper, did they do anything or is it all hype? Let's find out. It's really good. I might have pulled them a little bit too early. I should have let them in for another maybe 15 to 30 minutes and they would have gotten a little bit more tender. But this experiment is not about the tenderness of the rib at all. It's about the flavor. I didn't get that much flavor out of them, but with the sauce, it really elevated them. They're much, much better with the sauce. But the real question is it worth doing this? I think it is. I'm definitely going to be experimenting this again, maybe with a Coke. I don't know. You let me know what I should be trying out next. See you on the next one.